You are looking live at rookie sensation Danica Patrick as we welcome you to Texas Motor Speedway. With her historic performance at the Indianapolis 500, the 5-foot dynamo has put the buzz back into the IndyCar series.
Yo, what's the buzz? What's the buzz? Did you see that? You know who that was, and it ain't hard to tell. So fast, so quick, Miss Patrick ran a classic at the Yard of Bricks and turned the world on its ear. You had to cheer for the Rookie of the Year. That buzz that you hear is all about Danica. Danica's got it right, and that buzz might be her passing you on the inside. What's the buzz?
I'm out here to win.
Danica Patrick. Danica, she's right there.
Well, that about this 5'2", 100-pound bundle of dynamite ignited a buzz at Indianapolis. Is carried all the way to Texas here tonight. And Danica, I know you've had a little time to reflect, but of all you accomplished in the month of May, what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of the kind words and the nice things that everybody's had to say along the way, especially the veterans and the people that have been around for so long. I think that means the most to me.
You start third here tonight, your very first time at Texas Motor Speedway, a place known for high banks, high speeds, and high drama. What concerns you the most at the start?
I think it's just getting through the first couple of laps clean. It's not just the first corner, but everybody's going to be so close, and I've heard that everybody's so close the whole race, so we're starting there. And I think it's just going to be, you know, finding your own groove and making sure that you're consistent, you stay on line, and you're smart.
Thanks for your time. Be safe and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Well, as the sun prepares to set here in Texas, Danica Patrick is just one of many IndyCar Series stars hoping to shine.
The green flag is out and we are off and racing. Dan Weldon has just won the Indianapolis 500. 2005 IndyCar Series is off.
Welcome to Firestone Race Day. I'm Jamie Little at beautiful Texas Motor Speedway. Well, points leader Dan Weldon is the hottest driver in the IndyCar Series right now. He has 3 wins in a row, including the biggest of them all. 2 weeks ago, Dan Weldon joined some legendary company, winning the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500. Starting 16th, Weldon worked his way through the field before having to deal with a determined Danica Patrick. Danica took the lead following a late restart, but had to slow down in order to save fuel for the finish. Just like that, Weldon passed her and went on to win what was truly the greatest spectacle in racing. Not only was it Dan's first victory at Indianapolis, it was also the first 500 win for car owner Michael Andretti. The British driver has won 4 of the last 5 races, the most successful start ever in the IndyCar Series history. Well, Dan Weldon told us at the first race of the season that the Indianapolis 500 was the victory he wanted to get. Dan, I know you dreamed about it your entire life. How is reality now compared to that dream?
It's amazing. Obviously, it's the biggest race in the world, and you know, there's a lot that's changed since then. So it's been just a dream ride for me. But obviously now we've got to get back to business and you know, try and win the championship. After winning the Indianapolis 500, I didn't know what was next. So you know, I've got to focus on this championship. But it's been a lot of fun. That's the greatest memory I'll ever have for sure in my life.
Now, it's been a record-breaking season for you so far. What has been the main difference for you? Why are you so dominant now?
I think my experience level has increased, and just, you know, the fact that I'm going back to these places, you know, for the 3rd, sometimes even 4th time, it's made, you know, what you need from the race car. You have a better understanding, I should say. But my teammates have been a big help to this kind of winning start to the season. But you know, there's so many guys here that want to beat me because I've stole some of the trophies. So we'll see what happens here.
Well, Dan Weldon is going for a record 4 wins in a row, something that's never been done in the IndyCar Series history. And first, he's got to get by the Chevy Power at the front row. For that, let's go to Vince Welch.
That's right, Jamie. Panther Racing, which has won this event 4 times, is owning the front row tonight with Tomas Inga on the outside of row 1 and our pole sitter, Thomas Schechter. First of all, Tomas, you've run here once before, last year. What's the big challenge with relatively little experience here?
Well, for sure it's going to be a bigger challenge for me to fight in the back in the front row than I was last year in the last row, so I'm really looking forward to it.
And how about Thomas Schechter? This is the 3rd time you've won pole here at Texas Motor Speedway. Why does this track suit you?
I'm not sure. You know, I've had enough poles here and I've led enough laps. I think tonight is the time, you know, I have to put it together and win this race.
You've had some good runs here, but your best finish is 15th. What's the biggest challenge for you just getting to the end?
Well, there's so many things that have affected us, and you know, a lot of them bad luck, but that's all out of my mind. We've got a great car here, and you know, I'm going to just get it done, as they say.
You're going to be into lap traffic very quickly from the start. How much of an issue is the lap traffic here at this racetrack?
Yeah, it's a bit of an issue, but the car's been unbelievable. I came through the whole field in practice yesterday, so you know, I think I've got an outstanding package. Chevrolet Pennzoil put you know, a good package together. I'm just looking forward to this race.
Now, both of these guys were having excellent runs at Indianapolis, both running in the top 10, and they got caught up in a spin with Danica Patrick, and both of them were knocked out. But Thomas Inge, in fact, they found Danica Patrick's wing in his car after the race. Now, this wing has been a hot subject on eBay. It's been taking a lot of bids. In fact, up around $40,000. Danica even signed it, bidding open on eBay until Monday. I know a lot of people are interested in that. Guys?
All right, thank you very much, Vince Welch. I'm joined by my colleague Scott Goodyear, a man who has won twice here back in 1999 and in 2000. And folks, we're just lucky to have him in the booth because I know when we got here, you're pretty excited about this track.
You know, this track brings a lot of excitement. When you come right underneath the tunnel, I'll tell you something, you just get very hyped up because it's a high-speed racetrack, 24-degree banking, 220 miles an hour, inches away from each other for 2 hours. Very exciting to drive.
Well, the buzz is about number 16, Danica Patrick. However, she's going to have to race, and this track has produced some very exciting race results. What would you do if you were her coach? What would you tell her?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I spoke to them this morning. Actually, Ray Ladle, the engineer, said, you know something, this might be like Homestead, where she sort of backs off a little bit at the beginning and then starts to get her comfortability there and starts to move forward. And I asked her, are you comfortable yet? And she says, you know, I'm not. I hope that happens during this race.
Well, Danica may be the hottest topic in the IndyCar series, but the hottest racer, without question, Dan Weldon. Speaking to our Jamie Little earlier, he's won 4 of the first 5 races. He's on a 3-race win streak. Can he make it 4 tonight?
Well, impressive also. 301 laps. He's led just over 900 of the total, so that's pretty impressive, over 1/3. You know, he's got the team Andretti Green, he's got the engine with Honda, and he's very focused. You know, that's not the same Dan Weldon that was here just a couple of years ago, but look for him to be a strong contender tonight.
We should have a great race tonight. Not to take anything away from the old Brickyard, but Texas Motor Speedway has a history of delivering. Plus, you'll be seeing all the racing as we go side by side here, and everyone is here to see number 16. The buzz is back, partly due to Danica Patrick.
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. You know, lost in the craze of Dan Weldon's win at Indianapolis, and certainly all of the Danica mania, have been the 2 drivers that finished between Weldon's first and Patrick's 4th at Indianapolis. In fact, you may not know this gentleman here. It's Vitor Mera. Vitor was runner-up, and it says right there, finished 2nd at Indianapolis, Danica Patrick's teammate. And then this gentleman over here is Dan Weldon's teammate at Andretti Green, Brian Herta. He finished 3rd at Indianapolis. There are people in the witness protection program that have gotten more recognition than these 2 guys over the course of the past couple of weeks. First of all, Vitor, you've had a great year. You've been on a roll. You're 5th in points, but 33 IndyCar Series races without a win. How close do you feel like you're finally there to getting one?
I think we're as close as anybody. I mean, it's a tough series, and I mean, you got to get all perfect to get the win done. We had a perfect races on our sides, but never got the break of the luck. I mean, for sure, I got the car, I got the engine, and Honda, G-Force, and everybody's is there, and it just have to put all together and win it.
And on the other side, thank you, Vitor. On the other side, Brian Herta, 3 straight top 5s, and in fact, in your history here at Texas Motor Speedway, you've been in the top 5 a couple of times. What's the challenge of Texas Motor Speedway, and how do you get that win here?
Staying out of trouble, walking out of this place is the challenge. I tell you, it's really close racing, and you know, so many things out of your control here. You just want to try and keep it clean, and you know, hopefully position yourself well for the finish. I think my car felt good in the warm-up, so we'll see what happens.
2 guys that wouldn't surprise me a bit to see them in victory lane at the end of this race here tonight. Jerry?
Well, Vince, 2004 Indy 500 champion Buddy Rice never got a chance to defend his title at Indy because of this hard crash on May 11th in turn 2 wall, producing a concussion and ligamentous injury to the back of his neck. Now, Buddy Rice had to sit and watch and wait while the Indy 500 went on without him. But the good news is Buddy Rice is back here today in the race car at Texas. He was very, very quick when he got back in the car right off the bat. He was third quickest in practice. Now, the reason, folks, don't worry about where he's starting inside of row 4, because this car is wicked fast. He had a problem in qualifying. The car would not shift. The biggest concern the crew has, they know how much Buddy missed being in the car. They said don't try to do too much and be too aggressive too early. If he can maintain some semblance of patience, Buddy will be a major factor before this day is over. Buddy Rice is back at Texas, and he wants it in a bad way. Jamie?
Well, Dr. Punch, we're glad to see him back, of course. But right now, I'm joined by two of the biggest stars in cable television from American Chopper, straight out of Orange County Choppers. We have Paul Tuttle Sr. and Jr. Now, Paul, I have to ask you, this is the second race in a row we've seen you. You were at the 500. What's your tie-in with the IndyCar series?
You know, we basically we did a bike for Learjet, and you know, they were happy with the way the bike came out and everything. And you know, we like to interact in different motorsports also. And but this was the first time that we actually led a lap around where there was actually, they said there was 1,000 bikes behind us. So that was pretty cool.
That was awesome. I was going to ask you about your experience actually here at Texas Motor Speedway with all those motorcycles. What was it like to ride on this track firsthand?
Oh, you know, it was awesome to do a lap around the track with all the bikes behind us. And when you come into the corners, you don't realize how high the banks are. And I don't think any of the motorcycles really went up on the banks because you got to be moving. But, you know, the crowd was into it. We had all the bikes behind us. It was awesome.
Tell me about this bike you just built for Learjet. What does something like that cost?
If I told you that, I'd have to kill you.
We don't want to go there. We'll just say a lot. Leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I know you have a very special honor tonight. For the most famous words in racing, gentlemen, I give you the honor.
Right here. Ladies and gentlemen,
start your engines.
Fantastic night here in Texas. Nearly 100,000 people have made it to this beautiful facility, and we thank you for watching Firestone Race Day Live. The Tuttles will take the bikes off the track, and we take one step closer towards the checkered flag. The Bombardier Learjet 500 will continue after this message from your local cable operators.
Scott Sharp driver gets the advantage and comes down and wins it. Wow. Oh, this isn't going to work. Yes, it did. Oh, look at this. Oh.
That is absolute irresponsible lunacy.
Checkered flag is out ahead, and Jeff Ward takes it.
And out of count.
And it's Unser Jr. Unser Jr. takes another one. Tony Kanaan takes the win.
He climbs the fence. The tradition continues.
Yeah, we did it! And what kind of story will Texas Motor Speedway deliver tonight? Will Danica Patrick get her first ever victory? Everyone wants to know, and you can vote. Will Danica Patrick win an IndyCar Series race this season? Log on to ESPN.com, IndyCar homepage, and vote. We'll give you results a little later on during our broadcast. As we take a look at our Bombardier starting grid, and there you see Danica Patrick on board that 16 car for the Rahal Letterman team. As the lights start to come up and the sun begins to set, we go on board, first of all, with our Indy 500 winner, Dan Weldon.
You know, maybe he's not starting exactly where he wanted to, Todd, but you can never count him out. He's always started further in the back so far this season, but you know something? He knows how to get to the front, has the experience, and has the team.
As they make their way out of turn 2 and go to the sunlight of the track, Scotty, give us your keys to the race.
Well, I think the key thing that you have to think about here, you can see the banking right now. 24 degrees is very high here, and when the cars get into the turn, the key thing is keep your lane. Do not crowd the person that's either above you or below you. The lights, well, we got a little sunshine still out there now, Todd, but the key thing is it's going to get dark here shortly. 3 rookies here have never run underneath the lights. We talk about confidence. You have to have confidence in your car. You have to have confidence in the people that are around you. You have to trust them, and the key thing is not to make a mistake anywhere. We talk about confidence and trust. The most important thing, though, is the spotters. The ones that are up on top in radio communication with the drivers, telling them throughout the race that you'll hear high, 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 or low, telling them where the other cars are around them. Very important. Communication is key here tonight.
And we go on board with Scott Dixon, a former IndyCar Series champion, starting 15th right now. We let you know that Darren Manning will also be going on board, have an onboard camera with us. So there's Manning and Dixon. We saw Danica Patrick. Dan Weldon will be carrying it on board with us as well. Vitor Meira, we met him earlier with our Vince Welch, number 17. Someone that you think could walk away with a checkered flag tonight.
I think he's very possible here tonight as we see Danica Patrick right now. A few different cameras on board with her. Vitor has sort of been the stealth also at Indy. Very due for a win here. Very confident here with his car this weekend.
There is your pole sitter, Thomas Scheckter, in the Panther Pennzoil, running that platinum color. The rumor is they're going back to the yellow and black at Richmond in 2 weeks as they make their way through turn 3 and come into turn 4. The pace car brings them up to speed, and it looks like the green flag will unfurl. It's a stampede deep in the heart of Texas. We are hot at the Texas Motor Speedway.
Green flag, green flag.
And Scott, they came very close to doing just what Brian Barnhart did not want to see, and that's going 3 wide.
Well, you know something on the start there, Sam Hornish getting a bit of a jump actually and moving up on the outside of both Scheckter and Inge and really having a charge going into turn 1.
On board with Thomas Scheckter, he is your pole sitter, running that Chevy Power, his teammate right behind him. That's Thomas Inge from the Czech Republic, has the inside line with Sam Hornish Jr. on the outside.
Now, Todd, interesting to note, they come up to the line at 80 or 100 miles an hour. That lap was already 190 miles an hour. You see the sparks coming out from the car. That's those skid blocks underneath there. Remember, full fuel right now, low tire pressures. A few laps, those sparks will go away, but a shower of sparks up against the other guys that are actually behind them.
One of the guys we always see get a great start no matter where he is Tony Kanaan. And Kanaan is already moving up through the field as you look at your leader, number 4, Thomas Scheckter.
Look how low Kanaan's getting down to the grass in the D section there. Those left side wheels were actually almost in the grass. You know, I spoke to him the other day as he's right down by the white line. He says, you know something, not very successful for me right now at Indianapolis 500, but I didn't train that hard. I sort of took some time off. I'm mentally focused, and you know something, I'm ready to get it all back.
The 11 is Tony Kanaan, the 711 car, going side by side with Danica Patrick, who is 16 right there, and Kanaan has already moved up to 8th place.
Well, and Danica's now back to 9th, Todd, you know, and I think that she's doing exactly what the team told her to do. Hey, get used to this place. She didn't spend a lot of time in traffic in the last couple of days during practice, and as a rookie here, the key thing is you have to understand how the car works in the dirty air that you get from all those cars running in front of you.
You are riding on board with rookie sensation Danica Patrick. She finished 4th at the Indianapolis 500. She currently sits in 9th place. Now remember, she started 3rd, and Scott brings up a great point. She is going to be very patient. There's Thomas Scheckter, your leader, in the silver car. Behind him is Sam Hornish Jr., part of the Penske team, and Thomas Scheckter leads all active drivers in laps led at Texas, and he adds to that total tonight, leading his 3rd race at Texas. Scott, this guy can drive. There's no question about it. He has been snake-bitten by some bad luck. Do you think tonight's the night that Scheckter turns it all around?
You know, after Japan and he ran out of gas just with a lap or so to go and he was leading that, looked like he was going to be a winner. You sort of saw a different Thomas Scheckter. He understood that he didn't have to lead all the laps or be fearless actually all the way through. As we're watching right now, a great battle as Weldon starting to have a peak around the top side of Tongass Inge. The whole key thing, though, I think for Scheckter is that he's matured a lot in the last couple of races. He knows he has to win races, and to do that, you have to finish.
Talk about quick movers. Dan Weldon, who started 8th, has moved up to 4th place, so he is using the momentum bump from the Indianapolis 500 win. He and his teammate Tony Kanaan. We've got an incident out of turn 2, and that is number 91, and unfortunately Jimmy Kite's night may have just come to a conclusion.
You okay, Jimmy?
Yeah, just sore.
Sore. Remember, he hit that wall at about 190 to 200 miles an hour, maybe a little bit more. And the wall itself is actually the safer barrier wall that they've installed here at Texas Motor Speedway. Now that's a steel and foam energy reduction wall that you see just up here in this area. And it's actually a wall that's been put in front of the cement wall, and it helps reduce the G-forces when the car impacts the wall. Now, you see all this oil dry that's going down here with the car. You can see these guys are doing everything they can to make sure that the oil's not going to turn around and start getting down the racetrack. That's because the gearbox hit first, Todd, and all the oil has actually come out of the gearbox onto the racetrack.
Well, the best safety crew in the business out there, making sure that does not impede the progress as we get going again. Let's have a look at it one more time. 91 in the back of your screen.
Yep. Now look at those cars that he was behind. You're getting a bit of dirty air, and I say dirty air, Todd. You drive down the highway and you fall behind a tractor trailer, for instance, and you get that buffeting. That's what those guys are feeling as they're going through the turns. And if the car's not set up correctly, balanced correctly, that back end gets light and comes around on him, and that's exactly what happened to him.
He was running 21st. Good to see Jimmy Kite get out of there. Remember, he ran the Craftsman Truck Series last on its very track, so maybe it's just fatigue as we send it down to Jamie Little.
Well, I'm with the owner, Ron Hemmelgarn, for the number 91 and Jimmy Kite. Hate to see him go out so soon. I know you just watched the replay. What did you see?
Well, it just looked like he bottomed out and he spun around and hit the wall. So he's okay. I don't know how bad the car is, but he had a good race car. He was going fast. He ran a 2:13 lap there, so I think it was pretty good. He just bottomed out and spun out. So we have to pick it up next time.
Well, it's a new team. We're glad to see him out here. And Jimmy Kite doing double duty, ran the truck race here last night, so maybe he is fatigued. Todd?
All right, thank you, Jamie. He finished 32nd at Indy, and as they continue to get his car cleaned up and off the track, we hope that Jimmy Kite is all right. Again, he is filling in for Paul Dana, and we wish Paul Dana the very best on his recovery. You miss nothing. We're still in yellow at Texas Motor Speedway. Right now, we take you side by side. Welcome back to the Texas Motor Speedway for the Bombardier Learjet 500. Well, 7 laps into it, we were running at high speeds on the high banks, and it was unfortunately not the night for Jimmy Kite as he put his car into the wall. Fortunately, he was able to walk away from that, but the rest of the field moves on with 21 drivers to go as we send it down to Vince Welch.
Here with Danica Patrick's engineer, Ray Leto. And Ray, what's the feedback from Danica here in this maze of traffic in the early going?
Well, we're just getting going. She said the car's a little bit on the loose side to start with, and I think she's just getting in the groove here with 7 laps of green.
What was your biggest concern coming in? She'd not run in this kind of traffic, the 2 and 3 wide, on a consistent basis before.
Well, that's it, exactly. I mean, it's just getting experience in that situation. Really, the only way to do it is in the race. So it's just like Homestead. I think she learned by halfway through the race, how to set it up and how to time it, and I'm sure that'll happen tonight.
Thanks, Ray. Patience, certainly the key here. Buddy Rice, Danica's teammate, did come over his radio a few moments ago when they were under green flag conditions talking to his team and said, please tell Danica to keep her line steady. She about took off my front wing.
All right, thank you, Vince. And right now, the teammate of Rahal Letterman, they go 8, 9, and 10 with Vitor Mira sitting in 8th place, Buddy Rice in the middle, and Danica Patrick in 3rd. And we saw that, Scott, in practice yesterday with Vitor Mira, Danica having some issues at high speeds, running in packs, holding her line.
Well, when you think about the speed that you're going around here, the length of a football field in less than a second, and there's not much time you spend going straight here, maybe between turns 2 and 3, but the front section is what we call that D-shaped oval, and you're turning a lot of time in one lap here. Probably over 70% of the lap you're actually turning, so you have to be aware where everybody is around you. We talked about the spotters earlier, Todd, and the key thing for those guys is that you actually have to make sure that you're talking to your driver almost all the way around here, letting them know if somebody's coming up behind you, whether they're high or low. Communication is the key thing here if you're going to win this race.
The 6th car of Sam Hornish continues to trail our pole sitter. That is Thomas Schechter as we are under yellow, and we check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, Penske's always been known for innovation, being able to do things better or maybe first before anyone else gets it. And pit stops are involved not only getting off pit road in a hurry, but getting on the pit road and finding your pit. And tonight you're going to see something for the first time here. Rick Reineman is the crew chief for Elio Castroneves. Now he's wearing this flasher on his left arm and also on his left leg. Now when he kneels, Elio will come down pit road, he'll push that button, and it'll begin the flash. And now Elio will be able to see Rick Reineman and pull in. And not only does it help Elio see Rick Reineman as he's kneeling on pit road, but other people who are coming down pit road as well, who are going to have to come right behind Reineman as he's kneeling. It adds a safety factor for crew members. The first time it's being used right now will be a pit stop after lap about 50 or so. And Reineman here has been 16 years with Penske, using it here for Elio Castroneves for the first time tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Doc, as we take a look at Elio Castroneves, currently in 6th place right now. And a reminder, ESPN2's coverage of the IndyCar Series continues Saturday night, June 25th, with the SunTrust Indy Challenge. Indianapolis 500 winner Dan Weldon defends his win here in 2004 against Tony Kanaan, Sam Hornish Jr., and, of course, Danica Patrick in a tough field at the Richmond International Raceway. It's the SunTrust Indy Challenge on ESPN2 Saturday, June 25th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And I know the folks at Richmond are doing a great job leaving the ticket windows open. Danica Mania will invade the eastern seaboard, and that'll be their chance to see her up close and personal.
And a different track for Danica. You know, that short little track that they have there, a very fast racetrack. You know, those cars, Todd, go about 55 miles an hour faster than NASCAR's there around that racetrack. Amazing speed that they pick up in that short little track.
You are on board with Danica Patrick. We are going to go side by side. We will be green when we come back. Stay with us here on ESPN2 as we go side by side. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway and ESPN's coverage of the Bombardier Learjet 500. After 14 laps, it's Thomas Scheckter, our pole sitter, still in front. Sam Hornish Jr. sits in second, then Thomas Inge. Dan Weldon has moved up to fourth place, an amazing move, and then Dario Franchitti. Nearly 100,000 people have turned out on a picture-perfect night at quite possibly one of the nicest facilities in all of racing, Texas Motor Speedway. Home of my colleague Scott Goodyear's 2 wins here back in '99 and 2000. We were riding around today, and you said, boy, this is one of the places I think about coming back and racing.
Actually, I don't miss it too much, but you know, when you come here, you certainly miss it. Just the thrill of the speed and everything that goes on around this racetrack. You know, interesting to note on that yellow, 5 cars pitted under that last caution. Koski Masura, Scott Sharp, Alex Barron, Patrick Carpentier, and AJ Foyt. So they'll be a little bit off a sequence right now coming up to this restart here, Todd.
And there you see number 16, Danica Patrick, currently holding down the 10th position as the green flag comes out. We are back to full speed racing in Texas.
Look for Hornish to try and get a draft and maybe just get around Scheckter going into turn 1.
Sam Hornish Jr., the red and white 6 car of Marlboro Team Penske. In front of him, the platinum Pennzoil Panther of Thomas Scheckter of South Africa. You are riding on board with your leader, Thomas Scheckter. And there you see the crowd to the outside, Scott. It gets awfully tricky when they go into those 24-degree banks.
Oh, Danny Weldon right now coming up on the outside. A great restart. Always aggressive on starts. He loves that sort of thing. Look how close they're right now. 220 miles an hour, just about a foot away right now, and getting close to touching, Todd.
This is exactly what they didn't want to see, is 3 wide. Dan Weldon will slide into 3rd place position, but they are certainly antsy behind Thomas Scheckter, your leader.
You know, nothing like giving guys a little bit of aggression. Just put them under yellow for a few laps, you know, and drivers, they sort of forget what they're out there for. Visor goes down and the green comes out, and we just sort of forget about trying to get to the end.
Talk about the parity in the industry. Chevy, Toyota, Honda going 1, 2, and 3.
All those sparks we talked about again, you know, once those tire pressures start to come up and raise the car off the ground, hopefully those sparks will start to go away for some of those guys.
Well, we talk about settling into a groove here, Scotty, and right now it looks like they haven't really found it yet with that extended yellow after Jimmy Kite went out on lap number 7, and it looks like everyone is doing just what Brian Barnhart didn't want to do, and that is race for the front.
The president of the IRL stated in the drivers' meeting today, he said, guys, you got to get to the end to win this thing. Let's not have any types of accidents out here that can be avoided. Let's just be smart and run a smooth race. Lots of pit stops, lots of racing. Let's not do anything crazy and start taking guys out and make the big one.
And as a driver, Scott, you said you listen to all that, you take heed, but as soon as the helmet comes on, you seem to have amnesia.
You know, now that I'm doing television, I said it to Brian Barnhart a little while ago. I said, you know, I listened to you in all those meetings, but I got to tell you now that you just get in the car and you put the visor down. I don't think it really sinks in anything you've ever told us before.
Thomas Scheckter continues to lead the silver, number 4, with Sam Hornish Jr., the red and white Marlboro Team Penske, right on his tail, and I mean right on his tail.
Hornish, who used to drive for Panther before in that Pennzoil car, just a dominant driver, had 2 series championship wins with Pennzoil Panther. And I hear that the yellow car is coming back in Richmond, as you mentioned, but they might go back and run this platinum car for the next couple of events after that.
It's Scheckter, Hornish Jr., and Weldon, your top 3, and we'd like to thank our broadcast partners, Firestone, K&N Filters, Target, Toyota, and Weber Grills for their support of ESPN's side-by-side coverage of today's race. On board with Thomas Scheckter. What do you think of those lap times, 2:12?
You know, a nice lap time when those guys qualified here. Obviously, they're running light fuel, less downforce on the car. That means the wings don't have as much angle in them to push the cars down into the track because they're looking for speed in qualifying. You need the wing angle here to run in traffic with that dirty air. Look at Sam through the D-shape right now in the front oval, trying to just find a way around Thomas Scheckter. The other key thing, you know, you might want to sit in second for a little while and just start to conserve a little bit of fuel.
Thomas Scheckter, he's used to leading the opening laps at Texas. In 2002, he led the first 51 laps. In 2003, he led the first 91 laps. Leading the start of the race is not Schecter's problem. It's finishing the race.
Well, you know, I mentioned a little bit earlier that it seems like he's actually starting to be a little bit more mature. A lot of racing going on here in the middle of the pack, and this is a key thing right now. Carpenter on the very bottom, just trying to get underneath Kotsky Masura. The key thing, though, with Scheckter, as you mentioned, they have to get to the end. You know, none of those cars have actually finished any races so far this year for Pennzoil Panther Racing, with the exception of Buddy Lazier, who ran the 3rd car at Indianapolis.
That's the number 20 of Ed Carpenter, Division Racing. Started 19th, and it looks like on the inside apron, Buddy Rice, number 15, is having problems.
Get on the apron when you get a chance, buddy. Get on an apron.
So he can actually dive down this inside and maybe come across the racetrack. Actually, you know something, he's going to very nicely put his foot on the UPS signal right there and say, we'll stop here, bringing out the next yellow.
Well, the folks at Brown very happy where Buddy stopped, and here you heard him. You've got no gears. As the yellow flag comes out one more time. Now, this should be a pretty quick yellow, though.
Should be a quick yellow, but interesting to see, though, whether a lot of people will take this opportunity now that we're 26 laps into this run for coming in and actually refueling in tires. You almost have to do it right now, with the exception of the guys that pitted on lap 9.
Now, how many of them are going to take their cue from Thomas Scheckter? I know as a former driver, Scott, you always tell me if the leader goes in, you got to go with him.
Well, it's very early right now, but you know something, you probably are going to get somewhere maybe like another 10 or 12 laps out of the car with the fuel load they have on board. I suspect we're going to see just about everybody coming in pit lane this time.
We talked to the folks at Chevrolet. They feel like, and the folks at Panther, they feel like they got a little something extra. They can go a little further. Does Thomas roll the dice now and maybe stay out?
Now, he'll be coming in, as we're listening to some radio contact right now there with Dan Weldon. He would actually stay out only if it was actually very close to the end of the race, and thought that he might be sort of close on making it as far as the last lap was concerned. We saw that situation as we talked about in Japan. The key thing, though, now you want to make sure that you come in, change 4 tires, maybe make an adjustment or 2, see if you can improve the car in the next stint. You have to learn about the car. The track will change here. As the sun goes down, you sort of have to chase the car, as they call it, when the track changes itself. But the key thing that we talk about changes, we mentioned Danica Patrick said that she was loose. That's when the back end of the car sort of wants to swap ends with the front. They will make changes, as we're riding aboard right now with Danica Patrick. They'll make changes during this pit stop to try and help her with that. She's now fallen back to 13th spot.
Riding on board with Danica Patrick, the rookie that finished 4th at the Indianapolis 500. Well, folks, start your engines. Herbie, the most beloved car star of them all, is back, and Lindsay Lohan's got him in Disney's all-new revved-up comedy adventure, Herbie Fully Loaded. Now, I mention this because you see the 53 there. Indy 500 Rookie of the Year, Danica Patrick, will be at the premiere at the historic El Capitan Theater in Los Angeles. You can catch Herbie at a location near you starting June 22nd. Scott, we're old enough to remember that movie. It should be a good one. And Danica, a great tie-in as they all come in like a freight train down the line. And this is going to be key as we check in with Vince Welch.
Here you are right now.
Got Buddy Rice coming in there, bringing his car. Got the triple split. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
And Sam Hornish in the pits here, getting what will be no significant changes. Slight air pressure. He is down and away. Trying to get out. Great pit stop on Hornish and company. He is down. Likewise, Weldon and company. No changes. That's in.
Wow. Now that gave you a great idea of just how crazy it is in the pits. And it looked like Thomas Scheckter got in and out maybe the quickest of everyone, but he was so far down pit lane.
Well, that's the key thing, you know, because they haven't had a great finish. They get to pit their selection actually up and down pit lane, and they are so far down towards turn 4. With everybody up towards turn 1, they know exactly when the car leaves the pits down by turn 4. They sort of watch and they sort of signal their guys to leave, maybe putting a little bit less fuel. But the key thing right now is that he's got a good car. It has to be patient and be able to get back up front.
We'll look at the line and see exactly who came out when. There's Tony Kanaan, the 11, and right behind him it looked like, yep, Sam Hornish Jr., Dan Weldon in 3rd.
And actually the 3 and the 4 right there behind it, Castro Neves and obviously Thomas Scheckter looked like he sort of lost the most out of that whole thing. We talk about the pit selection. Weldon, Herta, Franchitti, and Kanaan all have the very furthest pit stalls when you come into the pit lane. That means they're all the way down towards turn 1, which is the advantage that I was talking about, because they can certainly see when the other drivers further down pit lane towards 4 start to leave their pit stall, and they can release their car and still beat the other car out of the pit lane onto the racetrack. Key thing for getting a great pit stall.
So as they recycle through, it is Tony Kanaan out in front, followed by Sam Hornish Jr., Elio Castroneves, and Thomas Scheckter, your top 4. We remain under yellow at Texas Motor Speedway, and we take you side by side.
Guys, Tony Kanaan, first one off pit road, but he did not take tires. We'll quickly find out why. Kim Green, no tires. Why not change?
We're about to go green. Just hang on 1 second. Let me answer that. We're just about to go green. Tires are awesome around here. Firestone and do a great job, so we felt it was worth the gamble. Get him out front, see how the car is out front.
All right, they wanted track position. They got it. We're going back to green flag, guys.
The green and white of Tony Kanaan, the 11 of Andretti Green out in front. Look at this restart by Sam Hornish Jr. as he pulls up right next to him.
2 series champions, a lot of experience there. And look who's trying the third lane on the high side, Danny Weldon. A good run off a 3, Todd. You can carry some speed if you run the high line. He's going to have to try and blend himself in right now. He's probably trying to slide in behind his teammate, Tony Kanaan.
Sam Hornish Jr. knows just how much to give him, and he's not going to give him the spot. So Sam Hornish Jr., the red and white 6 car of Team Penske, will sit in second right behind Tony Kanaan. Dan Weldon will pick another chance to make a run on him, but Weldon may be losing a spot on the inside.
Yeah, Weldon's on the outside. He's got nobody to help him right there. Tony Kanaan was pushing the air for Sam Hornish Jr., which didn't give much advantage right there for Danny Weldon. Thomas Scheckter now is going to take advantage of Weldon's misfortune and maybe have a look at trying to get around the outside right now of Hornish, who's in second. There he goes, that Chevrolet power that they were so pleased with back at Indianapolis, but didn't get a chance to finish the race. They're very happy with it here again this weekend.
2 rows of 2 all the way back as your leader, number 11, Tony Kanaan. He's got Thomas Scheckter behind him. Look at Scheckter trying to drop down. Hornish is not going to give him the spot.
No, you want to keep him low. Good observation. Try to make him have to get out of the throttle, tighten his lineup going through the turn. And what Hornish is going to do is try to sort of move him up just a little bit to sort of take his lane away from him.
Scotty, if you had to race close quarters, these may be the 2 best to run with.
This whole pack is very strong. You can trust a lot of them. It's really neat. You know, we talked about all these guys. Vitor Mira, though, sort of sitting back in 6th right now, just having a peek at all these guys running up front.
Let's check in with Vince Welch.
Buddy Rice, a very disappointed driver here today. His comeback after missing Indianapolis short-lived. What happened, buddy?
I'm not sure. Something broke mechanically in the car, and we're not really sure. It's hard to say. We thought at first it was the gearbox, but it looks like it might be something else. We're not sure just yet.
How was the traffic out there in the early going?
My car's good. I mean, I was extremely happy. I was sitting right where I needed to be. Just wanted to see where it was going to shake out. You know, and I was staying right with the pack where I wanted, but just the way it goes.
Out early for a former Indy 500 winner.
All right, thank you very much, Vince. You can see the disappointment on his face. And to be honest with you, I thought Buddy Rice was going to be someone that really was going to win the race tonight.
So focused, so hungry when he came here, fast when he first went out of the track. You know, when you've been off, and I've been off with injuries a few times, we see a great battle happening right now in this D section. You want to come back. You want to prove to everybody else that after injury, you're just the same guy you were before you got hurt. He didn't get that chance here today.
The top 4 cars are all running side by side as he's got to move on the inside, and Kanaan now is getting a push-up. There's Sam Hornish Jr. on the outside, and Thomas Scheckter is not showing a lot of patience there, Scott. He is looking for any and every gap he can get.
Boy, when we ride along with those guys, nothing coming off the throttle whatsoever. There's the right hand of Scheckter, probably going towards the fuel switch right there. Just over those bumps in 1 and 2. Looks like Kanaan's car works really well down the low side there. He just gains about a car length going through the mid part of the turn. Watch this. There he goes. Scheckter a little bit loose there, possibly.
Well, a little bit of a change there. So Tony Kanaan gets a bit of a lift, a little bit of a help, and now Thomas Schecter's got problems with Elio Castroneves on the outside, so it's the Andretti Green team going 1 and 3, and Sam Hornish Jr.'s in the middle as we check in with Jamie Little.
Well, guys, Thomas Scheckter, he was leading on that last pit stop when he came in. Number 20, Ed Carpenter, ran over his air hose. They barely got the right rear tire on. They're working on it, as you see right now, but Thomas Scheckter is on the move. He was our pole sitter, and he currently sits in 4th position. Todd?
All right, thank you, Jamie. There is the view from Thomas Scheckter's. He gets a look over to the side. That is Dan Weldon, number 26. It is still Tony Kanaan out in front. Sam Hornish Jr. sits in 2nd, Weldon in 3rd, and Scheckter in 4th.
Well, Scheckter must have liked his adjustments there. He sort of slid up right.
Yep.
He's just doing a great job there, right? Going around the outside. That fuel trim knob, if you go 100% fuel, you have that opportunity to make more horsepower in the engine. Obviously, you're going to use a little bit more fuel. But right now, Thomas Scheckter is showing Todd, I want to get to the front.
Are you surprised how high he is running rather than just like right there tucking in behind Hornish Jr.?
Well, the key thing, that might be an indication right now when he comes off the turn, he can't keep it low. We'll have to see if that sort of develops for him. That's called a push. That's when the car actually does not respond to the steering input as much as you'd like it to. But he's using the high line right now just to go around the outside of Sam Hornish.
There are your Toyota lap leaders after 42 laps. Scheckter has 27 of them, then it's 12 and 2 as we move down, and it's Tony Kanaan still out in front. Scheckter finally gets the pass on Sam Hornish Jr. So it's Kanaan, Scheckter, and Sam Hornish Jr. as you see the view from the 4th place car. That's the 26 of Dan Weldon.
You know, and that's the Honda and the Chevy and the Toyota right now. You know, the Toyota has done just a great job here this weekend with the Penske cars. And I've been really impressed with Chevrolet. They've really turned it on here in the last little while. Vitor
Mir as we ride on board another Rahal Letterman. Look how high number 3, Elio Castroneves, goes as we go back to the front, and the pass has been made. Thomas Scheckter, number 4, gets past Tony Kanaan, and he will drop down. So it's Kanaan now, and Kanaan in danger of losing 2 spots as Sam Hornish Jr. gets a look at it.
Now remember, he's got 45 laps on those set of tires. There's no doubt the tires can actually last a stint and a half, but I will tell you that new tires will certainly be better than a set that has 40 laps on it, and maybe that's what Kanaan is dealing with right now.
Talk about confidence. We talked to Al Spire at Firestone. He said these Firehawks are a dream here. This is a perfect track, perfect conditions. He has full confidence in them.
Absolutely. The key thing, though, is we're watching right now Thomas Enge off the pace going through the front section. We'll have to see what's going on with that.
Thomas, what happened? No power. No power.
So no power, so something either in the engine or the drive line. We'll have to find out here shortly. Sounds like an engine situation as the yellow will come out for this, Todd.
So Thomas Enge, who was on the front, the young man from the Czech Republic, getting really his first full run here, and initially a little nervous about running the packs and the high banks, but after practice last night he said, I feel very good.
And he's done a great job here this weekend, you know, because it's very much different than what's going on here throughout the whole month, actually, at Indianapolis at this particular track. Here we go right now. Heard it in the car in the front. Look at all this. Everybody avoiding right now, because once you lose power, you have nothing you can do. You can't get off that banking onto the flat apron, and that whole traffic behind him turned around just to make sure that they missed him.
And it's amazing how quick they come up on you. They are running laps of 209 to 210 miles an hour, and he dropped down significantly as we check in with Jamie Lynn.
Well, I'm with Doug Bowles, and Thomas Enge had a good run going there, starting second. We thought your luck was going to turn around, and then what happened, Doug?
I don't know. It just sounds like that just all the ignition went off, and he lost all his power. So we're going to try and see if we can't change out some ignition boxes and get him back out there. It's a long season. We need the points. So we're going to try and get the Rockstar car back out there and keep beating around this track.
All right, the Chevy Power is not giving up. You heard it here. Thomas Enge will come in and try to go back out. Todd?
Well, there you see Thomas Enge right now, and he brings out the yellow, the 3rd yellow of the night, Scott. What are the chances you think they get him in and get him back out?
Well, interesting. Remember when we were down the pits this morning, those guys were actually having some difficulties looking at some things in the wiring loom, and possibly maybe this is something that's actually transpired on this car right now. So remember, they have not finished a race so far this year, so they certainly want to get out there and try and do that.
Yep, the Rockstar mechanics were called in early this morning to put out that fire. Hopefully they'll get it back up and running again as we continue with the Bombardier Learjet 500 from Texas Motor Speedway. You go side by side. Folks, a quick reminder, this weekend the NHRA Powerade Series moves on to Joliet, Illinois for the CarQuest Auto Parts Nationals. Our good friends Marty Reed and Mike Dunn have the coverage. Catch the elimination round on ESPN2. That's tomorrow, Sunday at 3 Eastern. As we take a look at our leaderboard for the Bombardier Learjet 500, it's Thomas Scheckter, a pole sitter, back out in front on the 49th lap. Tony Kanaan sits in second, Sam Hornish Jr. in third. Then Dan Weldon and Elio Castroneves has moved into the top 5 as we get on pit row and check in with Jamie Little.
Well, guys, Thomas Scheckter is expected to come back in when they come back around. Thomas Enge's car is in the box, though. The driver we saw pull over and lose all power just moments ago. They're going to try to make some adjustments and get back out, but Thomas Scheckter, for right now, is staying out, but the pits are open. Vince?
Sam Hornish Jr. may be coming in, but they're going to take a look at what Thomas Scheckter in the 4 car does. The pits have just now opened up as they came by this time, so they're going to have to go around again. So if the 4 car comes, look for the 6 to come as well.
All right, thank you, Vince. Well, there's the cat and mouse game there, Scotty. What do you do?
Well, you sort of don't want to go off sequence. If the leader comes in pits, then usually the rest of the pack go ahead and do that. Here's Kanaan's trying to show a little signal actually up to Thomas Scheckter saying, hey, you know, are you thinking you're coming in? this is a cat and mouse game, as you mentioned right now, but the key rule is that if the leader pits, you generally always come in. You know, there's going to be a lot of action here in pit lane.
Kid, reset fuel as soon as you enter the pits. I'll talk you down.
That's John Barnes. You know he's coming in, reset fuel, so they have to do that.
All right, so Thomas Scheckter comes in. We go back down to pit row. We start off with Jamie Little.
Well, Thomas Scheckter, they did get that fuel hose fixed here. He's coming in. He's expected just to top it off with fuel. He's good with tires. Last time he came in was 4 sticker tires. Vince?
Jamie Sam Hornish Jr. will take on fuel, but no tires, just fuel. You see him getting topped off, and away he goes cleanly. Jerry?
And guys, Tony Kanaan, remember, has not changed tires at all since the race began. He thinks these Firestones are doing awfully well, and most importantly, he likes the track position, so they come back over the wall and will again pass on new Firestone rubber.
All right, thank you, Doc. Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of chances being taken out there and a lot of faith put in the Firestone Firehawks, and for good reason. Tony Kanaan, though, did not take advantage of that, and great pits by Thomas Scheckter and Sam Hornish Jr.
You know, all 3 of the Andretti green cars right there, making a very smart and bold move, obviously, with Tony Kanaan, Brian Herta, and Dario Franchitti. But they're sort of betting that there will be another yellow to help them get in and get some fuel, because if there's not, and they have to pit underneath green, they might even go down a lap, Todd. This is a bit of a gamble, but they're probably seeing the race unfold with a lot of yellows right now. They're going to say, you know something, let's just take our chance.
And you saw John Barnes, or heard John Barnes say, set your fuel gauge the minute you come in. I'll count you down to it, and he hit it dead on. So they think it's going to be a serious fuel issue. They do not want to see what happened in Motegi. If you remember, he was leading the race, Thomas Scheckter, in the number 4, and he came in and ran out of gas with just about a lap and a half to go.
Hey, guys, here in the Tony Kanaan pit, they were expecting Tony to come down pit road. I think they were as surprised as we were that he didn't pit. As he was passing the pit entrance, he said, did you want me to come? I didn't hear you say come in. And they said, no, we're fine. But they indeed expected him to come down and put 4 fresh Firestones on. So, but obviously it didn't happen, so he'll stay out front.
Well, the key thing, and thanks for that information, Doc, but there is no boardman here on the back of the racetrack anymore, so you have to rely actually on your radio contact. So interesting to note that maybe that's a bit of a miscommunication.
There you see Danica Patrick started 3rd, currently 15th. As we go back and look at her pit stop, Scott, take us through it.
The key thing right now, let's watch the fueler. He's actually trying to put his fuel nozzle in. The fuel actually start to go into the car. When he starts to pull out, just very quick coming out, but a little difficult actually getting in.
Let's check in with Vince Welch.
Guys, you've already noticed several teams that have come in and taken fuel only and left the tires on the side. Firestone has come with a little different tire than they did a year ago. It's more durable compound, takes on better wear. And Paige Mader, one of the engineers for Firestone, was telling me earlier today he believes they could go 70 laps on a set of tires before you really saw significant drop-off, and that is absolutely amazing. Credit Firestone for some of these teams and the different strategies being used here tonight.
Well done to Firestone and Aspire as the green flag comes out. The Bombardier Learjet 500 is off and running one more time. Tony Kanaan leads them to the green flag. It's Andretti Green 1, 2, and 3 with Kanaan, Franchitti, and Herta leading the way.
The guy that tried the high move there, Sam Hornish Jr., but got boxed out by Dario Franchitti, and Sam loses on that exchange because now he's going to fall in behind Thomas Scheckter.
I'll tell you what, if you're Michael Andretti, you've got to like what you see. He and Kim Green have done a masterful job putting their drivers in the right spot. On board with Thomas Scheckter, he gets a great run by Brian Herta. And the point I was going to make, Kanaan, Franchitti, Herta, and Weldon, all 4 teammates running in the top 6.
Very strong, very aggressive. Weldon looked like he just got a little bit too high there. Sharp following behind Weldon right now. Talk about Scott Sharp and Kotsky Masura coming here with the Fernandez team. They unloaded off the trailer, were not very fast, could not find straightaway speed, although they think they've improved the car. Spoke to a few of the guys today, made some changes for this race here today, and hoping it might improve the car. But Scott Sharp, a 2-time winner here right now, just didn't seem to find speed here so far this weekend.
Lap 57 of 200, Tony Kanaan, continues to lead. There's Dario Franchitti, number 27, and on the outside, that is your pole sitter, the man who won the pole, Thomas Scheckter, running the Chevy Power for Panther Pennzoil.
And you saw Thomas turn around and grab a lower gear, probably going from 6th to 5th, possibly, maybe if he's in 5th, going down to 4th. When you get into the middle of a turn, sometimes the RPMs go down on the engine. You get out of the power band, they go down to the next gear to raise the RPM and get that engine back into its power band.
There you see Dario Franchitti, number 27, the ARCA X, part of the Andretti Green team. I tell you, this guy is so talented. It would not surprise me to see him sneak in there at the very end and pick up a victory. But right now his teammate, Tony Kanaan, the 11 green and white car, continues to lead. And it is Thomas Scheckter currently sitting in second. We want to remind you, though, Thomas Inge, his teammate, is back on track. Well, it's time to get caught up with the latest. Let's go to SportsCenter's 30 at 30 and our good friend, Dave Revson. We are back to racing, and it is Thomas Scheckter sitting in the second position that is giving Tony Kanaan all the business, Scott. I think he might have busted over to Thomas Inge's stall and grabbed some of that Rockstar beverage because he is on fire right now pulling right next to Tony Kanaan.
This is the case where you hope you've made the right move, enough momentum. Hopefully somebody comes along and helps you, which we're seeing right now. Maybe Hornish starting to pull in behind Thomas Scheckter. Make that slipstream at 2 cars go faster than 1. Tony's trying to break the air all by himself, so he'll get stuck back to 3rd. You know, we talk about fastest laps all the time, but Roger Yasukawa right now in the Dreyer and Rainbow car, number 24, is looking on the monitor, Todd. Over 215 miles an hour. He has the top 4 fastest laps. If he can turn that into something and get himself moving through the grid where he's currently 10th, that might just pay off.
He has the only lap over 2:15, so Roger Yasukawa will keep our eye on him. Number 24, there you see Yasukawa on the right-hand side, running right now next to number 55. That's Kosuke Matsura.
And Matsura is actually the teammate of Scott Sharp, and we talked about that a second ago.
Whoa, we got a yellow. Someone has put it up high into the wall, and that looks like a vision car.
Now look at those yellow lights flashing right below the white of the wall and the black of the track. That's something that they put into the track here to alert the drivers in your sight line. There goes the steering wheel out. Actually, you know, I wonder.
He took that out before he came to a stop.
Yep. Now there's those lights that we talked about. Sort of neat to see how they flash. It allows the drivers to sort of see where the yellow comes out very quickly.
Driving around.
Ed Carpenter communicating back to his pits.
Tony
George. Nice at the head of the IRL. And, well, doesn't look happy. Seen him happier than that, Scott.
You know, they have had a tough time even at Indy, but, you know, coming up to finish 11th after a strong day was actually very good for him to finish the event and get the experience. And, you know, they have not been very quick. There's his mom, Laura George. You know, I watch her actually when he's out in the racetrack, and she's a very nervous mom. Here we go along right now, riding along. Man, let's look ahead and see what's going on. Actually, it looks like something possibly broke in the car, Todd, because anytime the sparks are happening like that, going down the straightaway, you can see those yellow lights that we were talking about before. See, he knows something's going on. He's pulled to the right-hand side, very smart, and all of a sudden now the car is starting to drag on the ground. The right rear tire is going flat. The right rear tire is definitely gone flat. He felt that, moved over to the right-hand side, and you would be able to see, it's the right front tire. Pardon me, the right front tire looks like some suspension piece possibly broke, and then the right rear tire becomes flat once he turns around and starts grazing the wall.
Well, unfortunately, there you see him. He's up and walking. That's a good thing. Unfortunate, the car broke loose for him. He looks very disappointed, but a smart move, you point out, Fred Carpenter, as he pulls off, and it looks like he wants to say something to someone. I don't know if he's upset with someone. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, there's some different messages going on now. I'm joined by Tony George, the owner of the number 20 Vision Racing. What is Ed telling you? What did you hear?
Well, what I saw was you know, Ryan and Ed touched right down here. There were sparks. I'm hearing that there might be something wrong with the 33 car. Maybe something broke, but he's still out on the track, so apparently there's nothing wrong with the car. But, you know, I don't know. I think Ed made pretty light contact and rode it around the top side of 1 and 2. Hopefully there's a replay. You know, I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see, but doesn't look like there was much damage other than our evening's over.
Tough break for Ed Carpenter, who just came off an 11th place finish at the Indianapolis 500. We're going to check in with Ryan Briscoe's camp and see if maybe there is something wrong with his car. Dr. Punch?
All right, for the first time today on the Tony Kanaan, the Rating Series champion, will come down and get 4 fresh Firestones. A slight air pressure adjustment because of a bit of an understeer in the car. His teammate Dario Franchitti wanting a wing change in front of him. So 2 of the Andretti Green cars are here. Here is Tony Kanaan away. Franchitti is away. And we are being told that Herta may be complaining of some kind of mechanical problem. We'll check on that as others are pitting here during this yellow.
All right, thank you, Doc. And Brian Herta right there having the benefit of not having anyone in front of him. He could just punch straight out. But you see just how close those pit boxes are. If they came from Indy, Scotty, they were so much wider, had much more room for air, and not here at Texas Motor Speedway. We're under yellow with the Bombardier Learjet 500. We'll take a break. You go side by side. We're back in a moment. As we welcome you back to the Bombardier Learjet 500, we are under yellow as Ed Carpenter was put into the wall, or found the wall, Scott, just a few laps ago. And we're going to have to watch some replays because, as his stepfather pointed out, Tony George, looks like there was some contact made with Ryan Briscoe. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, we'll get it straight from the horse's mouth. The owner, Chip Ganassi. Chip, your rookie, Ryan Briscoe, we heard that there may have been some contact. What did he say?
He did, Jamie. You know, I guess they were 3 wide down there. I don't know what. I don't know whose fault it was or anything, but fortunately he's okay. We're not losing any tire pressure. We have tire pressure sensors on the car, and our tire pressures look all right, so we just made a little wing adjustment. You know, this is Ryan's first time here, so he's learning his way around a bit, but he's doing just fine.
Quick learning curve, and we have to mention he got his first top 10 finish at the Indianapolis 500 just 2 weeks ago. Vince?
Standing with Roger Penske. Roger, it's been interesting to hear the spotter for Sam Hornish and Thomas Scheckter actually kind of communicating a little bit. Are you guys working together up front?
Well, I think they've got a real strong car tonight, and I think the good thing for us is to stay in the draft, so we were looking for him to come up by us, and it's a long way to go here. We're just trying to stay out of trouble, but car's running good tonight, both he and Elio.
Thank you, Roger. Jerry?
Down here, we're going to talk to Michael Andretti, and now Kim Green has come down. Here's the problem they've got in Brian Herta's car. Brian has said the car just jumped out a moment ago, and they came in and changed tires, thought they might have had a right rear tire going down. The tire was fine, and now they're having a little confab here to determine, is there something vibrating in the back of the car? Is there a suspension piece broken? Some of the other teammates are looking at the ar from behind. Let's ask Michael what's going on. Michael, he's coming back in. Did they figure out what's wrong with Brian yet?
They think they see something hanging off the front of the car underneath, so they're going to have another look.
All right, they'll bring Brian back in. We'll back out of the way. So Brian Herta felt a vibration in the car. They're going to bring him back in for the 3rd time now under this yellow. He is here on pit road. They will look beneath the car and see what they can see hanging back there. He thought he had a tire going down. The car was just skipping out in the middle of the corner in the right rear. He is down and away.
All right, great work by all our pit reporters down there. A lot of information to digest, Scotty, as we go on board with Danica Patrick. Now, Danica, this reminds me, it's awfully reminiscent of the Indy 500. She's gone up, she's gone down, and there she is now back in the top 10.
Up to 9th place, and actually just starting to learn, as they said that she was going to do, sort of get a feel for it. But let's touch on something with Brian Herta right now. Occasionally, sometimes you run over some debris, Todd, it gets stuck underneath the car, and you start to feel that as you start to go around the racetrack. So that's the key thing. Under yellow, you have the advantage of the slow pace to come in and check it out so you don't end up having something break on the car and something go wrong, put you in the wall.
As we check in one more time with Jamie Little.
Well, you know, there's been so much buzz about Danica Patrick. How about this man, Patrick Dempsey? The buzz around the country. Of course, you're on Grey's Anatomy. We've been seeing you hanging out in the pits a lot here. Patrick, what's going on?
Oh, just a real fan of this race down here, and it's great to be here, and just this really exciting racing here. So,
well, I see you wearing a Vision Racing shirt. Are we talking about maybe getting in a car anytime soon?
I've been getting in the Pano Series races and the road racing and stuff like that, but no, I'll stay off the ovals. I love watching, though. It's really competitive, and just, especially here at this track, it's just unbelievably close racing and really exciting.
And we're green, guys.
Green once again, and it is Thomas Scheckter. Look at that racing. 2, sometimes 3 wide as they come down the front straightaway. Scheckter back out in front, and I'll tell you what, that Chevrolet looks awfully strong, but here comes the Penske boys.
Side by side, a little touching going on between teammates. Not something I think Roger Penske is going to be looking for this early in the race, that's for sure.
And once again, Dan Weldon trying to slide in. Look how close he is, wheel to wheel with Elio Castroneves. It is Thomas Scheckter, number 4, out in front, the platinum-colored car. Then it's Team Penske right now going 2 and 3 with Elio Castroneves, and Dan Weldon moving up now.
Todd, these guys are starting to lose their patience a little bit, lose their focus. You see the cars moving around a lot. I mentioned a little while ago that, you know, once you get a yellow, you get very anxious inside the cockpit. You want to get going, and that's exactly what these guys are doing. We saw on the restart Mira drive over the grass in the front section. You don't get away with that too often.
As we take a look at our Firestone telemetry on board, Thomas Scheckter, the throttle at 100%, no surprise.
No surprise, a lot of guys are doing that. You don't want to lift off the throttle here with these new 3-liter engines. engines, you certainly don't want to sort of breathe it because it will slow it down. G-forces there you see just getting up over 2, going through even the section here in the midsection. Look at that tire temperature. It's right up in the green, perfect for them. 3.6, 3.7, 3.8 we're seeing on the G-force, but that 100% throttle, and right now 210 miles an hour even going through the turn.
Vitor Meira now, the yellow and blue Rahal Letterman teammate, he had a look right there in 4th place, and now he's dropping back just a little bit on the inside line, getting passed by 2 cars. So Weldon now inherits 4th place. It's Scheckter, Castroneves, Sam Hornish Jr., and Dan Weldon. Tony Kanaan moves up to 5th, and Vitor Meira slides back to 7th.
Now looking like he's not enjoying whatever his car is doing for him right now, sort of happy to sort of fall off the pace. Have to see if he sort of makes some adjustments inside the cockpit to change the handling of his car if he is not happy with it.
And that's a smart move, Scott. I mean, we talked to so many drivers over the course of the last 2 days, and so many of them, the first thing they said was, I've got to be patient. Well, the man who's not patient right now, he's happy to run out front, is your leader, Thomas Scheckter. He's being followed by Elio Castroneves and Sam Hornish Jr. We take a break. You go side by side. Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of the Bombardier Learjet 500. There are your Toyota lap leaders. Thomas Scheckter clearly dominating with 52, Kanaan 25, and Sam Hornish Jr. leading 3. And right now, Thomas Scheckter is leading, but he has got a duo of Penske drivers behind him with Elio Castroneves right behind him, and then his teammate Sam Hornish Jr. sitting in 3rd.
Remember, Elio won this race here, the last race last year. They sort of bookend the season with the Penske drivers, with Hornish winning at Homestead and Elio having to wait for the whole season before he actually won. But right now, those guys look like they are not patient whatsoever.
Well, the stars are out in Texas, and there you see the star of Grey's Anatomy. That's Patrick Dempsey. You know, he was recently on the cover of TV Guide, voted the sexiest man on TV, and I said, there's no way. How is Scott Goodyear not in there? So,
you know, they must not have the right phone number, Todd.
We are on lap 83 of 200 here at Texas Motor Speedway. The man who won the pole is out in front, Thomas Scheckter. The Chevrolet Power is looking very strong tonight as we ride on board number 17. That's Vitor Meira.
We're talking about running strong right now. There's Sharp, who was back to as far as 21st at one point in time, but right now trying to get past Vitor Meira. Sharp running in 8th, Meira running in 7th. Will he get it done this lap? He keeps running that high line. Remember that Honda Power that he's with this year. Very happy with the Fernandez team. Delphi's got a great package going there. And Scott's got that renewed interest in spring in his step, as I say right now, because he's been running strong all year long.
Scott, for a man who's run this race, won it twice, on lap 85 of 200, who do you like and who do you think's falling back?
Well, the key thing is that you always want to keep the leaders in sight if you're not leading yourself. The key thing, though, as I always say at racetracks, doesn't matter where you are, is make changes on the race car during pit stops to make your car better, whether you're by yourself or in traffic. You have to improve it and follow the track changes, and especially here at night, because as the sun's now gone down and we're underneath the lights, the track will change for these drivers. You have to make sure you change the car to keep up with the track.
Thomas Scheckter, number 4 on the Panther Pennzoil ride, out in front. Elio Castroneves sits in 2nd. Sam Hornish Jr. sits in 3rd, and there's Dan Weldon. This guy is like bad luggage. He will not go away. He is sticking this thing, and whenever he's in the mix, he's going to be dangerous.
We've got that Honda Power that we know has been dominant, but we talked about how Chevrolet right now has really stepped back up. Look at that. Koski Masura and Tony Kanaan, the Tony Kanaan in the white and green car on the low side there, the 711 car, getting so close. Remember I said a little while ago that it seems that this racetrack just brings out the, what do you want to call it, the mentalness of the drivers? I mean, you just love this racetrack. It gives you this invigorated feel going through the turns. You won't take your foot off the gas, and you won't give anybody an inch.
And we'd like to thank our broadcast partners, Honda, the Indy Racing League, La Quinta Inns, Pennzoil, Quaker State, and Bombardier Learjet for their support of ESPN's side-by-side coverage of tonight's race. Thomas Scheckter continues to lead lap 88 of 200, and Penske, I tell you, these guys are just teaming up on him right now.
Just look at these guys coming out of the turn all the time, always trying to find a way around. The Penske guys are always trying to make sure they can get around them. Now let's look ahead here. We talked about Kanaan and Koski Masur on the right-hand side. Going through that D section right there. Kanaan's moving up just a little bit. Let's give that about 3 inches, Todd.
3 inches at over 209 miles an hour. 2 great drivers right there with a great save. Thomas Scheckter, though, the Platinum Pennzoil out in front. And once again, Elio Castroneves thinks he may have a run. Look at that.
Trying to get up and take advantage of that little bit of air that they have right there coming off the front. Off the complete car. Oh, that's a little bit of a wiggle. That tells you that that car is probably a very neutral race car right now. I'll tell you what, talk about your heart rate going up.
Let's check in with Vince Welch.
Just a moment ago, they told Helio Castroneves, put your nose on Schechter's right rear and see how it affects both cars, Thomas's car and also your own. And at the same time, Sam Hornish Jr. was running right behind his teammate, and now Hornish is starting to take a peek. Doc?
Hey guys, give a call to Dan Weldon. He has not changed tires since lap 28. Now Weldon currently, it's got 63 laps next time by on this set of Firestones and hanging awfully tough. And by the way, they tell him he's making excellent fuel mileage. Not a bad deal. Great tire wear, and excellent fuel mileage. It's been a Weldon kind of year.
You know, they said for him to actually put his nose on that right rear, and that's when he got the wiggle out of it. And that's when you push the button on the radio and yell back to those guys and say, you know something? That didn't work. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Experimenting at 210 miles an hour is Helio Castroneves, but again, it's Penske perfect, looking for every and any advantage they can take to get the victory. Of course, Helio Castroneves winning last year in October, our final race of the IndyCar Series in Texas. Can he do it again? Right now, he's chasing the Chevy Power of the 4-car. Thomas Schechter, your leader. Penske going 2 and 3 with Castroneves and Hornish Jr.
See, it looks like right now the Penske cars maybe get through the center of the turn a little bit. They get the drive off the turn, Todd, and he's trying to run the high side there, but he just doesn't have enough speed by the looks of it to actually make that move stick. Even with his teammate Hornish behind him trying to give him a bit of a push.
Quick rundown looks like this. It's Schechter, your leader, Castroneves, Hornish Jr., Dan Weldon, Koski Matsura, Tony Kanaan, Dario Franchitti, and Scott Sharp, the top 8. We'll take a break. You watch everything as we go side by side on ESPN. Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of the Bombardier Learjet 500. Todd Harris along with Scott Goodyear in the booth on a picture-perfect night here at Texas Motor Speedway. Your leader, Thomas Schechter, had the pole, led most of the race, dropped back a bit, but he's back in front now, but he's got a problem behind him. The 2 Penske boys are coming with Helio Castroneves, the 3-car, and the 6-car of Sam Hornish Jr.
This is the fun part of the race. You're flat out. You're just trying to find a different line that will actually get you past the car that's in front of you. We've got the first 4 guys right now, all pitted last time on lap 51.
4 seconds ahead of you, 4 seconds ahead.
So that's the information going to Schechter right now that Foyt is 4 seconds ahead of him, just letting him know exactly what's going on.
Well, at the top of the show, we asked you, will Danica Patrick win an IndyCar season race this year? And here's what you did. You logged on to ESPN.com. IndyCar homepage, and so far, yeses have it. 59% of you think that Danica Patrick will win an IndyCar Series race this season. As we cross the halfway point, 100 laps complete, 100 laps to go as we check in with Vince Welch.
Just spoke with Ray Lato, Danica Patrick's engineer. He said everything is fine, even though they're running 12th. They're conserving fuel. Said we want to be in the top 10 with 50 laps to go and then see what happens. So no problems for Danica Patrick, despite the fact that she's running 12th.
A.J. Foyt, the 4th, just leaving the pit, so he comes in. Now he is down a lap, Scott. He was on the lead lap, but he has come in. He's put himself out of sequence now and down 1 lap, and the leaders, they were about to swallow him up like a tidal wave.
Well, they were, and he was about ready to go down 1 lap, so they did a very smart move, actually. Get him in there, get some fuel, 4 new tires on there. He's not going to be caught in all this traffic going by him. He can get back out and run clean by himself.
Thomas Schechter continues to lead as we ride on board. There's the view that he's got out of that right rear view mirror, and the Penske boys just continue to look for some way around him, but it looks like he's doing a great job of protecting that inside line.
The low lines, the faster line around here for certain, and it's very tough to make sure that guy goes around the high side, but so many races have been won here, Todd, on the high side. Important to make your car work during this race, coming off of 4 to the finish line, working on the high side, and we talked about changing the car during pit stops. You have to make sure that car has that ability. Most of the races are won that way here.
Here's a question for you. Tim Cindric, Roger Penske, do you think they're using this as a ploy? Could they be dialing down the fuel and getting better fuel mileage? Because the top 4, down to Dan Weldon, have not pitted since lap 51.
Well, you heard Roger say in that interview that that's sort of what they were thinking of doing, but, you know, a very impatient-looking driver right now inside both those cars, I think, right now, especially with Castroneves leading it, sort of wanting to find a way by, but to key thing. There's been a lot of question right now whether the fuel mileage of the Chevrolet will be as good as the rest of them, and we're going to find out here very shortly when they have to run all these laps underneath green to see who has to pit first.
A very fast top three, and then here comes Andretti Green, currently sitting in fourth place. That man, the 2005 Indy 500 winner, Dan Weldon. He's been lost in a little bit of the media hype. A lot of people are focusing on the 16 car. If you ask Dan Weldon, though, does he really care? Does it bother him? Is he jealous? Here's his response.
Don't care. Like, who gives a really? I mean, so Sports Illustrated right there. I mean, if you were the owner of Sports Illustrated, got 33 people on in the Indianapolis 500. One of them's hot and female. Why wouldn't you put her on the front? You'd be crazy not to, right? I have the self-satisfaction of just winning the biggest race in the world. Fine by me. You know, if she wants all the media, or has all the media, but not the win, and I have the win but not the media, I guarantee you I know which one I'm going to take. Because in 10 years down the road, no one's going to remember the media attention that the fourth place person got. They're only going to remember the winner because it's going to be on the Borg Warner trophy, so I'm good.
What do you think about that, Mr. Goodyear?
I think he stated it. He's happy with it. But you know something? I got to believe that he's seeing all that hype that goes out there. And as a driver, you want to sort of do as much as you can. But the one thing that I think is important, though, endorsements after winning the Indianapolis 500, always strong. But I'm going to say that this year, the fourth place finisher, Todd, probably going to get a few more endorsements than the winner.
Danica Patrick finishing fourth in Indy 500, and she has been on some kind of media blitz. Dan Weldon has not done too bad himself, and right now he sits in fourth place with his teammate, Tony Kanaan, sitting right behind him, the 11, just behind the 26 of Weldon. But your leader continues to be Thomas Scheckter, Helio Castroneves, and Sam Hornish Jr., the top three. And we got a problem here. Someone's going to pit early.
Clear by 2.
Well, this is going to be, he's coming in right now because he's going to split the pit strategy here. You don't want both cars coming in at the same time.
It's Helio Castroneves coming down, and I don't think this is a routine pit stop.
Well, that was locking up the brakes, trying to get down to 60 miles an hour before you get the barrel, the speed zone as we call it, and that's going to be the key thing, down to Vince Welsh.
This is a routine pit stop. There'll be tires and fuel for Helio Castroneves. No changes to the chassis scheduled. Keep in mind, they are teammates, Castroneves and Hornish, but they are pitting on different laps so they can give each other a little bit more room. These are the smallest pit boxes on the circuit, just 36 feet. Just 36-foot pit boxes compared to the 47-foot boxes at Indianapolis. Now Hornish is in. Hornish got the tires. Roger Penske talking to him, making sure that he knows when it's time to go. No chassis adjustments, fuel, and away cleanly. Good stop for Sam Hornish Jr.
So Roger Penske and Tim Cindric roll the dice. Will this come back to haunt them, or is Roger crazy like a fox?
Well, you know, splitting this up right now, they have to do that 9.6. That obviously means very shortly we're going to see the Pennzoil car come in here, possibly. Remember, those guys all pitted back in lap 51. That's the key thing. Now, Dario Franchitti, Tony Kanaan, all pitted 15 laps later, so we'll have to see how this is going to play out. A clear round out if you can, and when you have teammates parked next to each other, can just only cause a problem.
Come on out. It's cool, guys.
And the leader, Thomas Scheckter, decides it's now time to pit. He comes in as we check in with Jamie Little.
Well, Todd, the whole race they've been saying Thomas Scheckter has had great fuel mileage. He's topping it off. He's getting 4 tires. Remember, it has been 8 races since this driver has finished a race, guys, so he wants this one bad, and so does the team.
10.9, so Sam Hornish Jr. a little quicker as we slide back up. This is Danica Patrick.
Wait for Ed. All right, go. All clear, all clear. We're still green. We're green.
That's, you know, just unleashing 700 horsepower, rev the engine up, drop the clutch. That's a great feeling.
You sound like you long for it.
Just remember.
And your leader is number 26, Dan Weldon, but he now will come in and pit. So Andretti Green doing something similar to what Roger Penske did, and they are splitting up their teammates as we check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
And Mike Horvath and company waiting on Dan Weldon to come down pit road, and they have told him they will stop him. They will make no significant change on the car. We're listening to John Anderson talking to his driver. Watch him work and listen to John Anderson when he tells his driver to go in just a moment. 10.5, guys.
So Dan Weldon has the luxury of having the first pit box as he goes right in with a clear run. So Tony Kanaan, number 11, part of the Andretti Green team, he becomes the leader with lap 118 complete. We're on lap 119. Tony Kanaan out in front at the Bombardier Learjet 500 on ESPN. We'll step aside, take a break. We've got an exciting conclusion. 80 laps to go until we crown a champion. You miss nothing as we go side by side. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway as we look at our Toyota lap leaders. It's Scheckter with 86, Kanaan now with 33, Hornish Jr. 3, and Weldon with 2. Tony Kanaan continues to lead, but look at this. He's got 2 teammates, Scott, right behind him with Brian Herta and Dario Franchitti.
Well, right now the 24 car was actually the one directly behind him of Yasukawa. Here's Franchitti's already in pit lane. Yasukawa is trying to unlap himself, already down a lap, but running strong, obviously being capable of the leader. Doc?
Let's check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
All right, guys, Dario Franchitti the first to come in. His teammate Tony Kanaan will be right behind him. 4 tires. They're waiting on fuel. He'll make it on one more stop. They get it full of fuel. Great pit stop for Franchitti. 11.3 seconds. Now comes the defending winner of the Bombardier Learjet 500. Here's the reigning series champion, Tony Kanaan. Getting great fuel mileage. Watch these guys go to work. 4 fresh Firestones. Gotta get it full. That was Kim Green, you heard, saying hold. 10.4 seconds. Kanaan's away.
Well, that's a great move for Tony Kanaan because we talked about some of the pit problems he's had earlier this year. It looks like he smoothed them out. Now his other teammate, Brian Herta, is heading back down towards Dr. Jerry Punch. And, Doc, this should be interesting the way they've cycled them all through. What do you know about Brian Herta? What do you think? Have you heard anything they're planning on with him?
He said the car is still very, very loose. They were concerned before. Remember, they came in those 3 times under yellow, but there's nothing broken in the rear end, but the car very, very loose. And we're getting some backfire from the back of the car. He's on the way, 4 fresh tires.
Great work, Doc. 10.9 for Brian Herta. So Andretti Green continue to be very smooth in the pits as the computer and scoring continues to cycle through. Brian Herta has come in, so he will slide back. Tony Kanaan and Dario Franchitti, teammates, have also slid back.
Now, I want to understand, maybe the Penske cars at 9.4 seconds for pit stops. Everybody else in the 10-second range, did they short fill during their pit stops? That means actually not putting as much fuel in as a tank can hold. Did they maybe put a little bit less in to get their cars out of the pit lane a little quicker? It'll be interesting to see how long they can stay out during this run.
After all that, Tony Kanaan is your leader. Elio Castroneves sits in second. Sam Hornish Jr. sits in third. And this is like a deja vu all over again. Once again, it's Andretti Green out in front. In second and third, the Team Penske boys.
You know, and actually under green stops, as we see right now, Todd, this is when the drivers actually spread things out because it depends on how fast you get into the pit lane and how fast you come out of the pit lane once your service work is done. Kanaan obviously did a good job, and right now he's got everybody sort of chasing up behind him, but he'll get caught. These guys behind him, if they run a single file and start to be smart about this, they'll start to catch up to Tony Kanaan here in about 5 or 6 laps.
Thomas Scheckter, number 4, the Platinum car, has now moved into 4th place. So once again, the talent really has moved to the front. These are the cars that have been the strongest all night.
You know, the key thing, though, is you see Scott Sharp coming up there very quickly, too. He's a guy that actually, like we said, had a lot of problem. His teammate, Kotsuki Masura, is now running in 6th, just in front of Dario Franchitti and Danny Weldon, the other Andretti Green cars. You know, maybe those guys made enough changes on those cars to actually make them competitive here for the race because they didn't feel very racy when they arrived here just the other day.
Koski Matsura, number 2, Thomas Enge, but out in front it's Kanaan, Castroneves, and Sam Hornish Jr., your leaders here at the Bombardier Learjet 500. As we take a look at the race line for this race, Danica Patrick, the rookie, started 3rd on lap 26. Her teammate, Buddy Rice, out very disappointed. Thomas Scheckter has led 86 laps, and on lap 128, Tony Kanaan took the lead. That's where we stand right now on lap 133. It is Kanaan, Castroneves, and Hornish Jr., deep in the heart of Texas. When we come back, much more racing, but for you, it's side by side. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway and ESPN's coverage of the Bombardier Learjet 500. Your leader, Tony Kanaan, followed by Elio Castroneves, Sam Hornish Jr., Thomas Scheckter, and Scott Sharp, now moving up to 5th place. 137 laps complete, and we still don't know how this is going to shake down, Scott. Pit strategy, do you think that's going to be the determining factor?
Well, they actually, we said catching up in 4 or 5 laps is exactly what Penske teammates did right now with Elio Castroneves and Sam Hornish. and maybe looking for a way to go by. The key thing, though, I mean, Tony Kanaan last pitted on lap 126. Castroneves, Hornish, and Scheckter are all around the 110 to 115 area. So does Tony Kanaan only need one more stop? Castroneves, Hornish, and Scheckter, including Sharp, maybe need one and a splash at the end. This gets to play interesting parting, and that's what I sort of like about this, is that these guys are going to have to sort of decide whether they want to run a little bit lean, try and make it to the end, as now, look at that. 215 miles an hour, Todd, side by side, foot flat on the peg right now, and Castroneves looks like he's trying to find a way by.
Helio Castroneves, the winner in October of 2004, the final race of the IndyCar Series, and both he and his teammate get by Tony Kanaan, a feat that is not often done. So it is Penske right now going 1 and 2. Helio Castroneves, number 3. His teammate Sam Hornish Jr. sitting in second place, and the rest of the field starting to work with him. And moments ago, radio chatter, Thomas Scheckter says, if we stay in line, I think we can get him.
Still inside, you're clear. Clear inside, clear.
Buddy Lindblom, the spotter right now for Thomas Scheckter, saying clear. Key thing, does he have enough speed right now to get past these guys, or does he even want to? Right now, he just might want to turn around and try and conserve some fuel running behind both of these Penske cars up the front.
As we take a look at the Firestone telemetry of Thomas Scheckter, there you see the throttle. Oh, wow. He's lifting.
Means the car's probably got a little bit of understeer. You can hear him sort of gradually get back on the throttle. That's the sort of thing that you have to fix during the pit stop. Next time around, you probably only have one more, because if your car's working like that, behind traffic, you're going to have a difficult time trying to carry the speed through the turn and out of the turn to try and get by the guys that are in front of you.
Well, Scott, you talked about this. Castroneves pitted at 110. His teammate Sam Hornish Jr. at 111, but Thomas Scheckter 115. Does that 4-lap difference mean that he will not need that last splash and he can run out? Because the way the Chevrolet's running for Scheckter, I don't know if anyone's going to catch him.
Well, he's going to definitely need one more stop, but he's going to need some yellow laps right now or just make some incredible mileage to be able to do this really on one more stop, to my way of calculation. So we'll wait and see. I know the Chevrolets are feeling like they're getting about 2.7, maybe 2.8 miles to the gallon. Everybody else maybe around 2.6. We saw that because Penske came in earlier last time over the Chevrolet, so we'll have to wait and see how this sort of plays out.
Despite the 4 early yellow flags, we are on pace for the fastest race ever here at Texas Motor Speedway. You miss nothing because we go side by side back in just a moment. It's a Texas shootout at the Bombardier Learjet 500. Your leader now is Thomas Scheckter, the man who grabbed the pole, and he is being chased by Sam Hornish Jr. And just moments ago, Tony Kanaan sparking up on the inside line.
That 3 wide through that front D section, you guys saw that in the side-by-side, but I'll tell you what, makes your heart stop. And as we go to the replay right now, Sharp on the outside, Castroneves in the middle, and Tony Kanaan trying to get it done. Sticks his wheel just in the side of Castroneves' side pod. He decides, you know something, I think I'll think better here, and I'll get out of this one.
Brian Barnhart, the president of the Indy Racing League, said, I do not want to see 3 wide, and that's exactly what happened. And I think Tony Kanaan may have just learned his lesson there, hitting the grass not once but twice, but a great save for the Ironman from Brazil. As we check in with Jamie Little.
Well, I'm joined now by Buddy Lazier, just coming off the Indy 500, finished 5th for Panther Racing. He was actually teammates with Thomas Scheckter, and I bet you want to be out there right now, Buddy. What's it like standing on the sidelines?
Well, just really excited about racing with these guys. Every time I'm in a Panther car, I know I have a chance to win. I'm watching my teammate Thomas. He's flying, so it's really exciting. It's a team that can win. I'm very excited about it.
Now, you guys just announced a few hours ago you will be back with the team for a couple more races. Is that right?
Yes, starting at Nashville, Michigan, and then we're going to try to get some more. So we'll start off with those 2. Again, every time I sit in a car, this car, I have a chance to win the race. I'm watching Thomas. He's flying. It's the Chevrolet and Panther. It's a great combination.
It's got to be different standing on the sidelines. We look forward to seeing you back in the car, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, Buddy Lazier. Todd?
All right, thank you, Jamie. Anytime you can add an Indy winner to the field, it's good for everyone. We welcome Buddy Lazier back. He is a fantastic driver. Thomas Schechter's your leader. Sam Hornish Jr. sits in second. Helio Castroneves in third. Danica Patrick, if you're wondering, she sits in 12th. She's been up and back. She was running behind Ryan Briscoe. Now she's got the pass on him. And Scott, is this the best scenario for her? Do you think you need to get her closer to the pack where she can draft and work her way up? Because right now she's getting no progress.
Well, the key thing right now is you see that famous 53 for Herbie the Love Bug. The key thing for her is to get as much experience as possible. Look at the dirt on her shield right now. You can tell that she's been running in traffic. There's clear tear-offs actually on her helmet there that she can tear off and actually be able to see a little bit better, maybe start the race with 4 or 5. But, you know, she just needs to get this race underneath her belt, get the experience, Todd. No rookie has ever won here before. We talked about that before. And, you know, she was set. I just want to get comfortable because there's so much going on here. The banking, the lights, the traffic. I'm not used to this side-by-side at 215 or 20 miles an hour.
Danica Patrick getting the baptism by fire for Rahal Letterman here at the Texas Motor Speedway in the 24-degree banking. Unbelievable, and we've got just about 40 laps to go when we conclude and wrap up with a champion. We go side by side. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway, the beauty of side by side. As Helio Castroneves came in pit, you saw that. The leaderboard looks like this. Thomas Scheckter, Sam Hornish Jr., and now Scott Sharp has moved up to 3rd place. Tony Kanaan sits in 4th. Dan Weldon, the Indy 500 winner, is in 6th, and Danica Patrick has moved up to 11th.
This is setting up for a great shootout right now for the last few laps after everybody gets through their last pit stops.
There you see your Toyota lap leaders after 162 laps. It has really been dominated by the Chevy power of Thomas Scheckter. He has done a great job, a handful of laps for Hornish Jr., Castroneves, but Thomas Scheckter had the pole, and he has run so many laps out in front. But there's going to be some pitting, and now you see Sam Hornish Jr., he dips below the line, giving the signal that he's going to come in.
Now this is the key thing. Get into the pits as quickly as possible on that apron, into the pit lane, get a fast pit out lap, so maybe you can actually come out in front of leaders.
Let's check in with Vince Welch, who's waiting for number 6.
Roger Penske just told his team, let's make sure we get a good one here, guys. You hear him counting down. Here comes Hornish. There will be no changes. There were no changes on his teammate's car, Helio Castroneves, in the last pit stop. The leaders coming out of 4, and the leaders are now going by. Hornish gets out. A good stop for Penske.
All right, so Sam Hornish Jr., for all intents and purposes, should be done for the night as far as pitting. Roger Penske saying, guys, we need a new one, a good one, excuse me, and it is still Thomas Scheckter out in front. Scott Sharp has moved up to 2nd. Tony Kanaan now sits in 3rd, but Scott, they're going to have to pit still.
You know, and the key thing, we talked about fast pit stops, just over 8 seconds for the Penske team. That's the pressure on the guys that go over the wall to change those 4 Firestone Firehawk tires, add the fuel right now, and there goes Scheckter going past A.J. Foyt the 4th.
Clear.
See Thomas with his right hand grabbed another gear because he's getting a bit of a draft going down the straightaway, down a gear in the turn.
So Scheckter mired now with back markers. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank our broadcast partners, General Motors, Chevy, Merck, Vitron, Motel 6, Wagner, and Yellow Book for their support of ESPN's side-by-side coverage of today's race.
You see Scott Sharp there, actually so much momentum, and actually went around the inside of A.J. Foyt the 4th. We just showed you on that replay. Amazing. Carrying the speed out of the turn. You cannot get on the brakes.
Meanwhile, number 16, Danica Patrick is coming into the pit stop. She has got it wide open now.
This is the last stop.
Well, she had pit road to herself, Scott. That is a great pit. Anything under 10 seconds, she gets out at 9.5.
Great. Now this is where she learns a lot, as we see our teammate Vitor Meira pulling into a spot right now, and Scott Sharp, who was up to 2nd, is actually starting to come in on the top section. He's pitted only 2 spots behind Vitor Meira.
Number 17, Vitor Meira, the blue and yellow Johns Menard Manville car, gets out, part of the Rahal Letterman team. A great pit stop for him. So Rahal Letterman doing a great job tonight in the pits. There is your leader, Thomas Scheckter. He has yet to pit. What do you think the thinking is now for the Panther Pennzoil team? Keep him out there as long as possible?
As long as possible. I'm sure the key thing right now, though, is we saw just that last pit stop we had previous to this, that he went a couple of extra laps. So he's probably due shortly. And here we are. Tony Kanaan, remember, pitted behind him by about 10 laps. So Tony will be able to stay out quite a lot longer.
As a driver, this part has got to kill you coming in here because you've got to drop it down. Your pit speed, you see warning them, you've got to drop it down to 60.
Come on down. It's going to be a short fill.
Let's check in with Jamie Little.
Here we are.
Well, guys, Thomas Scheckter actually came in 1 lap late. He was supposed to come by. He missed it. It's a short fuel. You heard John Barnes on the radio. He gets 4 tires, and that will be it for the remainder of the race for Thomas Scheckter.
Clear to
wow.
the fast. Clear to the fast.
uncorking maybe the fastest pit time of the night, 7.8 seconds. Scotty, is that obviously a short fill?
Well, you know, it depends on what they were. Obviously, they can actually calculate it through how much they need to put in the fuel hose out of the tank and get into it. And those guys have won the pit stop contest a few times at Indianapolis. So I think the key thing is that they were keyed up on making a fast stop for Thomas Scheckter.
So Tony Kanaan becomes our leader. We have got 27 laps to go with the Bombardier Learjet 500. You miss nothing. We're going side by side.
Final pit stop of the day for Dario Franchitti, winless thus far this year. He's at the fast. Couple with the fuel hose. They finally get it out. A short fuel there. And here comes Tony Kanaan, his teammate, down pit road. They only need about 4.5 seconds of fuel. They kept the tires on. You don't have to wait on fuel. Tires are on. They do wait now on fuel, and he's down and away. Final pit stop for the day for these two.
All right, thank you very much, Doc. As we come down to the conclusion of the Bombardier Learjet 500 from the Texas Motor Speedway. We didn't think it would come down to pit strategy and fuel mileage, Scotty, but it looks like it really has. Who has made the right choice?
Well, it really has, and right now Schecter's actually starting to run down Brian Herta. Brian Herta's in the lead, but Brian's going to have to pit here very shortly. You know, there's going to be a strategy here. Once everybody starts to get their final stops done, and Herta's obviously coming up for one shortly, all these guys are going to come back being around each other again, and hopefully they made the right change in their car, Todd, to actually give them what they think is going to be the advantage for the run to the checker.
With 20 laps to go, Brian Herta leads the Bombardier Learjet 500, but as Scott pointed out, he has yet to pit, so he will be recycled back. Danica Patrick, though, currently sits in 13th place. Is there enough time for her to make a move up? Or will that man in the 4 car, Thomas Scheckter, the man that got the pole, win the race and get the monkey off his back?
Now, Herta being the lead has actually got 181 laps down. Tony Kanaan is actually now cycled behind him, and he's at 180. So he really is the leader of the guys that have actually pitted. Because as we mentioned, Herta himself is going to have to come in at some point in time to fuel before the end.
So it's Brian Herta, Tony Kanaan, and Scott Sharp. Sam Hornish Jr. sits in 4th. Thomas Scheckter has moved into 5th place. So this really will be a dash with 17 laps to go. Can Thomas Scheckter harness that Chevy power and start making passes and get to the front?
As we see right now, Brian Herta's on the apron, comes into the pit lane, entrance off of turn 3. Got Sharp and Hornish as we're watching with Herta right now. See how bumpy that track is there? Locking the brakes up.
Let's check in with Dr. Jerry Punch, who's in the Andretti Dream Pits.
Brian Herta needs 5 seconds of fuel. 5.1 seconds, no tires, fuel only. They want him out of here in under 5.5. Let's see if they can do it. No tires, fuel nozzle on. Now the clock ticks away. They're counting to Herta and counting to the fuel valve. Out of here, out of here. The clock on Herta, 5 seconds. Great pit stop. 5.6 for the Herta crew.
Well, they needed 5.5. Will 5.6 do it for him? Your leader, Tony Kanaan, has moved back into the lead. It is Kanaan, Sharp, and Hornish Jr. They'll battle to the finish. We'll have the conclusion when we come back after this final side-by-side. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway with 14 laps to go. Tony Kanaan is out in front. Thomas Schecter's radio said they will work with Sam Hornish Jr. Scott Sharp, however, right now maintains that 2nd place position, and now Scheckter has moved just ahead of him on the scoring. So how long will that, I guess, truce last between Sam Hornish Jr. and Thomas Scheckter?
Well, probably till a few laps from the end, but Scheckter was trying to get the job done, and actually Sharpie did a good job by trying to move him up the racetrack just a little bit to sort of take his line away, and Scheckter was trying to push him down, trying to make him get off the throttle. Looks like the Chevrolet is going down the straightaway real well right now. This is the thing that Tony Kanaan likes to see in his mirrors right now, is both those guys turning around and running. But what Schecter's trying to do right now, Todd, is look how close those guys are coming out the turn. That's 215 miles an hour. And right now, Hornish is on the upside of that, trying to take advantage of it. But as you say, he's trying to actually work with Scheckter and sort of push him through. The key thing is that Scheckter gets the job done. He's trying to position himself to be right there for the end, right behind Kanaan, because he needs to take advantage of the draft of Kanaan for maybe a lap or 2 left to go.
11 laps to go. It's Kanaan and Thomas Scheckter. But it's time to get caught up with the latest. Let's go to SportsCenter's 30 at 30 and Dave Revson. All right, thank you, Dave. And we have had some great racing here as Thomas Scheckter has indeed worked with Sam Hornish Jr. He has gotten past the 11 of Tony Kanaan. Thomas Scheckter is out in front. Can he hold on? Closest finishes in IndyCar history, 24 ten-thousandths of a second back in 02. And in 04, we had the great one, Kansas, between Vitor Meira and his teammate Buddy Rice. But how close will this one be? Right now, the Chevrolet Pennzoil Panther car seems to have it all figured out. But remember, over the radio, he said he would work with the Penske team and Sam Hornish Jr. Now, when it comes down with 8 laps to go, Scott, all bets off?
Well, all bets are off, and I'll tell you right now, Sam Hornish is one of the masters of going around the high side. Schechter's job is to sort of keep on the low side. We'll have to see. Let's go down and check in with Vince Welch.
Strange bedfellows throughout the course of this race. The Chevrolet team of the Pennzoil Panther, Thomas Schechter, and the Toyota-powered machine of Roger Penske's car driven by Sam Hornish. Penske just told Hornish, stay right where you are. We're fine where we are. Make a move if you can, but we're happy with 2. So Sam Hornish seems to be in the catbird seat right now, but you know Hornish is never happy with second place, and he's won it on the last corner on the high side before.
No question about it, Vince. 27 career DNFs for Thomas Schechter. He's not won since Michigan in 02. And Scott, what would this mean to this team and Chevrolet if he could pick up the victory here?
Well, first off, it'd be the first race they finished this season with their 2 main drivers. But the key thing, I think, right now, especially with Pennzoil being just down the road in Houston, Texas, a big coup to these guys because they know they have a lot of people up here watching them in this race. But the key thing for Schechter, he knows he's not finished so many races this year. Bad luck or what have you, you know. Only 1 win so far. He's a driver that probably should have 5 or maybe 7 or 8 wins so far in his career right now, Todd. And I'll tell you something, I think once he gets that first one back here with the Panther team, they're going to maybe be on a bit of a roll.
It's the Chevrolet, it's the Toyota, and it's the Honda. Which one will emerge victorious? It is still Thomas Schechter, the man who grabbed the pole and really has dominated throughout this race. He's had clean pits. He's done everything right, and right now it looks like a battle mano-a-mano with Sam Hornish Jr., the 6 red and white of Roger Penske. It's the Platinum 4 of Panther Pennzoil with 4 to go.
This time by, now 3 to go. A lot of heritage in this family. His dad, Todd, the 1979 Formula One world champion. His father, Jody, who was actually at Indianapolis watching his son, Thomas. The key thing, though, right now, Thomas just needs to stay on that low side, not allow Sam Hornish any room on the inside.
2 to go.
With 2 to go right now, the key thing that he also knows is that Sam is a master of getting the draft, the drive off that last turn, as Vince was mentioning a moment ago, and taking the run and using the momentum and getting to the line first, coming out of turn 4. We've seen it so many times before. Listen to him work the gearbox right now, trying to keep that Chevrolet engine in the peak power range.
White flag.
The white flag is out. The final lap of the Bombardier Learjet 500. Thomas Schechter leads. Sam Hornish Jr. sits in second place. As Scott pointed out, Sam Hornish Jr. has a history of faking you out and taking the inside or outside line. Schechter is definitely going to protect that inside line. If Hornish Jr. is going to make a move, it's going to have to be to the outside.
He's looking.
As they come to the finish line, Thomas Schechter has exercised the demons. The Chevrolet, the Platinum Panther Pennzoil car, has taken the victory. Sam Hornish Jr. will take second. Tony Kanaan will settle for third. And John Barnes is one happy man in Texas tonight.
John Barnes, owner of Panther Racing. Let's turn around here, John. Everything you guys have been through the last 3 years, what does this moment mean to you?
It's awesome. It's hard to explain right now.
Take us through the night, the emotions. You guys have been in this situation before, but it didn't end like this.
Well, I'll tell you, Chevy's they've really stuck with us, and they've done such a great job. Thomas has done a fabulous job, and the whole crew have. I mean, it's just a testament to Panther.
It's been a long time since Thomas Schechter has felt this feeling of winning, but you believed in him. You re-signed him last year despite his troubles.
I mean, he's a hell of a driver. Just, a lot of stuff's happened, and it's just the way it goes.
Congratulations. What are you going to do tonight?
Probably going to stay here in my motorhome. We're going to party all night.
Well, you go do that. Sean Barnes, owner for the number 4, Thomas Schechter Platinum Machine. Guys?
Well, it's Thomas Schechter's second career win, the first since Michigan in 02, and 39 races ago. First win for Chevy since 2003, and there's Danica Patrick finishing 13th. And I know Danica, she is not going to be happy with 13th, but for this race course, Scott, she's got to think of this as a win-win.
Well, I'll tell you something. This can be a mentally and physically draining race course when you come here as a rookie. So we see Thomas Scheckter now on his victory lap. Here comes Danica Patrick ready to sort of get out of the car. You know something? She'll be very happy to finish 13th, I think. Just get this race experience underneath her, and I bet you she's going to sleep real well tonight because she'll be very tired, very exhausted.
Danica Patrick, all of 100 pounds and 5 feet, as Scott pointed out, just a physically daunting task. But that man, Thomas Scheckter, originally from South Africa, comes from a heritage of great drivers. He wins the Bombardier Learjet 500. When we come back, we'll talk to the South African and those team members who made it happen. Stay with us. The stars are out in Texas tonight, and the man who reigns supreme in the Lone Star State is Thomas Scheckter, as we check in quickly with Vince Welch.
Well, you'd think that maybe Sam Hornish won this race. As many congratulations as he's received. The Panther team coming down to congratulate you because you hung right with him. It's almost as if you and Scheckter were teammates. What was the story?
My car handled pretty good right behind him. I knew that he had a very fast car, and it's really hard to get an outside pass done here on your own, you know, to actually get the lead and not just to run side by side. So believe it or not, with our cars, you can actually push. You can get a little bit of airflow going and help the guy. So I said, I'll stay right behind him. I'll push him by anybody. Just, you know, when he gets by, just don't go down in front of the other line. You know, help me to go by on the rest of the way. So it was really just a good night for us, and we worked together. The whole Marlboro Team Penske crew did an awesome job, and I mean, we had awesome pit stops, and that's what kept us up there with those guys.
Sam Hornish Jr. happy with a good, strong second tonight. Jamie?
Well, Danica Patrick was the last car to finish on the lead lap. She finished 13th. Danica, how did this race tonight compare to anything in your past?
It's a lot like Homestead in March, and you know, it's a lot of side-by-side racing, and it's just something I have to get used to. I kind of had the same things happen at Homestead. You know, you drop back at the beginning, kind of figure it out, and then you're behind, and you know, it's okay. It's all part of the learning curve, and you know, I mean, places like you know, the last race at Indy, I had lots of time to practice. So as we can see, I just need practice.
Well, Danica Patrick finishes another race. We'll see her in 2 weeks. Dr. Punch.
All right, Thomas Scheckter has climbed out at victory lane. Lots of hugging going on here. Thomas getting a big hug from Gary Pettigo and some of the other owners. Thomas, congratulations. It's been a long time. Welcome back to victory lane.
Thank you very much. You don't know how long I've been waiting for those words. We come so close. Panther, Pennzoil, Chevrolet, American Revolution. Man, they did it tonight. Had a great engine, great car. Panther crew were great on the stops. I was pretty calm the whole way through the race. And just thank this whole crew, you know. They really worked hard. They stuck with it. We had a tough Indianapolis, but we come back. And these guys are the man. I just thank them a lot for giving me the opportunity.
What about the comeback story for the Chevy engine? A year ago, it had a hard time getting in the field, and it was a dominant engine here tonight. What power?
Exactly, American Revolution, baby. It's good. They really worked hard, and I take my hat off to all of them. And it shows that, you know, they've come back harder than ever to win here, and I thank them a lot.
Does this take some of the sting out of those last couple of laps at Motegi?
It definitely does, but I want to do this again and again. I want to do this every weekend, you know, and we can do it. We got the car, I got the team.
They're talking about they're on a roll now. They are in victory lane. Thomas Scheckter and company have come back to victory lane for Chevy.
All right, thank you, Dr. Jerry Punch. Here are the results. Thomas Scheckter gets the win, followed by Sam Hornish Jr., Tony Kanaan, Scott Sharp, Elio Castroneves. A top 5 finish. There you see Danica Patrick and Ryan Briscoe. They go 13 and 12, respectively. All in all, a fantastic race here at the Bombardier Learjet 500. But the chase is on for the championship, and here's what it looks like after 6. Dan Weldon, your leader. Tony Kanaan has moved up a bit. Sam Hornish Jr. in that running. Brian Herta and Vitor Mira now a top 5 contender, but we still got a lot of racing to go. Scotty, I'll tell you what, it has been a great night tonight in Dallas, Texas. They always put on a great show here at the Texas Motor Speedway, and once again, this year's edition has lived up to all the billing. Congratulations to Thomas Scheckter, the Panther Pennzoil team. They get the monkey off their back. There you see Mike Griffin, very happy to be back in victory lane. And a reminder, folks, June 25th, the SunTrust Indy Challenge, Richmond, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Danica Patrick, your winner, Thomas Scheckter, and Dan Weldon invade the East Coast seaboard. You won't want to miss it. But tonight it was all about Thomas Scheckter. Scott, we said coming into this thing, he certainly had the power.
He said he was going to win the other day. He certainly held true to that. The thing that I noticed, though, is Chevrolet has won, a Toyota is second, Honda was third, so the engine parity is maybe coming back to catch up with Honda. Look forward to Richmond.
No question about it. On behalf of Scott Goodyear, Dr. Jerry Punch, Jamie Little, and Vince Welch, I'm Todd Harris saying good night from the Texas Motor Speedway and the Bombardier Learjet 500. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Congratulations to Thomas Scheckter, your winner. Coming up next, it's SportsCenter. Good night, everybody.